I think I want to actually go through all of the vessels that the Houthis attacked and actually find out how many of them were relevant. How many times do they have to do this? Holy. Can they not just... Man, I think the Houthis might just be engaged in indiscriminate targeting. Oh my god. Man, Trump could easily resolve this conflict in a much quicker way. All he needs to do is dangle himself from a hot air balloon, and he would basically get turned into a human bioweapon. Just imagine being the Houthis in Sana'a and having this balloon floating over you, releasing his noxious fumes composed entirely of McDonald's and fake tan. Actual chemical weapon. Okay. Donald Trump has gone to war single-handedly against the Houthis. Sorry. Against Ansar Allah. Okay, there we go. Is that more authentic? Okay, more authentic man of the region. Yeah? Okay. Take me more seriously now. Yup. It's actually quite... It's actually... I don't even think it's... I hate the Houthis, okay? I despise them. I don't know if this is necessarily good. I don't know if that's exactly the word we'd use, because Trump... Well, there are differences, let's say, between Biden and Trump, okay? They've been displayed before, they're getting displayed again. So, the US, under Trump, has decided to go absolutely ape on the Houthis. They've conducted several strikes, and they've also basically vowed that the goal is to stop them completely from attacking ships in the Red Sea. Like, it's a pretty clear military goal now, and that does suggest that they're going to be going at it for at least a few weeks. That's my guess anyway, based on what I've heard people say. So this is on Truth Social. The Houthi attack on American vessels will not be tolerated. We will use overwhelming lethal force until we have achieved our objective. The Houthis have choked off shipping in one of the most important waterways of the world. Context: the Houthis have renewed their attacks on Red Sea ships because Israel has blocked aid to Gaza. Now, Israel has argued that they have enough aid in Gaza because of the ceasefire to last them a few months, but it has not stopped Hamas from charging people extortionate fees for the aid that's left because people are in a panic. It's a really horrible situation. It doesn't justify the Houthis' actions because they're taking it out on people who mostly have nothing to do with the conflict, but is what it is. Bad sides all around, really. Bad behavior all around. He continues, grinding vast swaths of local commerce to a halt and attacking the core principle of freedom of navigation upon which international trade and commerce depends. Well, it's 12% of international trade goes through this route. International waters, by the way, not Houthi territorial waters. Our brave water fighters, our brave water warriors, our brave water sportsmen are right now carrying out aerial attacks on the terrorists' bases, leaders, and missile defenses to protect American shipping, air, and naval assets and to restore navigational freedom. No terrorist force will stop American commercial and naval vessels from freely sailing the waterways of the world. Damn! How heroic. These vessels shall be guaranteed safe passage. The trade shall flow smooth. Brilliant. Okay. So these strikes have been a lot more lethal and a lot more widespread than what was happening in the past. It's been, what, 48 hours? And there are already 53 people confirmed dead, which is quite a lot more than what was happening when Biden and those people were bombing them. 53, 58 wounded, including women and children, according to the Houthi health ministry. Bit of a Houthi meme in the sense that they're slightly contradictory statements. So we have from Nasser el-Din Amer, who is the spokesperson for the Houthis, told NBC that most of the casualties from the airstrikes were women and children, which NBC News has not independently verified. But at the same time, we have Anis al-Sbahi from the Houthi-controlled health ministry, who is saying that of the people, 53 who died, it's 5 children and 2 women. So one spokesperson says it's the majority of them are women and children. Another one says it's 5 children and 2 women. I'd probably take the health ministry's word over the other just random spokesperson. But they're both Houthi run. The health ministry is Houthi run, and so is the spokesperson. But there you go. The Houthis have claimed to respond by attacking US warships, although I believe the Americans have argued that every single drone and missile was intercepted on the USS Truman. The reason for the high number of casualties in this case, because I guess if you include the injuries, maybe a lot more of the injuries were women and children. I don't know why that would happen, but the problem with Trump is that Trump does not really care all that much for civilian casualties, even far less so than any Democrat would. In 2017, Trump famously relaxed the rules of engagement in Afghanistan when coalition forces were starting to lose ground. And the result of that was that the civilian death toll, I think it doubled. It dramatically increased anyway, because Trump relaxed rules of engagement on airstrikes. And the problem with that was, as American military officials said, was that it just made the war more and more losable, because one very important thing about somewhere like Afghanistan was they were trying to prop up the Afghan national government. They were trying to support a alternative rule to the Taliban. And if you're relaxing rules of engagement and killing twice as many civilians, then that battle for hearts and minds is getting lost. He did it in like the worst possible environment. Even right now, there's a whole issue in American foreign policy where people aren't really that sure about what to do with the Houthis. The Saudi coalition failed. Their strikes were horrible. They killed an insane amount of civilians. The Saudi blockade was the primary reason, not the only reason, but was the primary reason for the famine in Yemen. The Houthis didn't help with that by stealing aid and kidnapping aid workers, but it was a failure. They couldn't get rid of them. They tried for a long time with a lot of firepower, and they could not get rid of the Houthis. So what Biden did was that he removed the terrorist designation from the Houthis in 2021. And I think a lot of people in the United States foreign policy circles said that it was kind of a dumb decision, because he did this unconditionally. He completely reversed the policy of designating them a terrorist group for absolutely no reason. Like, well, not for in exchange for nothing. He didn't get anything back for it. He did try to say that the reason for doing it was to facilitate the flow of humanitarian aid, and also, interestingly, to make it possible for Saudis to pay public sector employees in Houthi territory, because that was actually something that the Saudis were doing. As the fighting was starting to die down, the Saudis were trying to employ public sector workers in Yemen, in Houthi territory, but they couldn't pay them if they were a US designated terrorist group. So there were some reasons, but the problem is that it didn't really indicate any kind of policy. It didn't really indicate what they were trying to get out of it. I think most people agreed that the Houthis were there to stay, that a unified Yemen in its current borders is kind of unfeasible. But the Houthis don't really seem to show that much interest in partition or statehood over the areas that they do control. I don't really know if they've been coherent on they're very coherent on their foreign policy for Israel, but their policy for Yemen, I don't actually know what it is. Like, maybe I haven't looked hard enough, but in any case, unilaterally removing their terrorist designation achieved basically nothing. It was unconditional. They didn't achieve any concessions. And it actually made it even worse for the Arab world and for Arab-West relations, because when Biden redesignated them, he did it because they attacked vessels in the Red Sea. Not because of any Houthi atrocities, of which there are many, not because of the way they treat their population, not because of the amount of persecutions of minorities that they've overseen. It was because of their response to Israel and Gaza. And that looks really bad for the Arab world, because if you're America, you don't want to be looking like you've just made the Houthis a terrorist organization again, because they are, quote, standing up for Palestine in the eyes of so many citizens in the Arab world, and maybe even more in the white Western world. So American policy on Yemen and on the Houthis has been a bit confused for a while. Trump is not confused on them at all, but that doesn't necessarily make it much better. Trump has decided that they just need to be stopped through overwhelming lethal force. That's Trump's whole thing. I think Trump basically believes they can do what they want, but they have to be beaten into stopping messing with other countries or other areas outside of their own territory. So he in January redesignated them as a foreign terrorist organization because Biden's designation was a specially designated organization. So they've been double designated now, and it doesn't really seem like they're that interested in stopping. The Houthis have vowed to retaliate against America. Good luck. This is Sean Parnell, who is the U.S. Assistant to the Secretary of Defense, works at the Pentagon, saying the Houthis have attacked U.S. warships 174 times and commercial vessels 145 times since 2023. They put American lives at risk. The previous administration let this go on for years with next to no response. But under Trump and Secretary Houthis leadership, that ends now. Houthis is also someone who famously doesn't seem to give that much of a shit about the Geneva Conventions, but there's a very clear end state to this operation, and that begins the moment the Houthis pledged to stop attacking our ships and putting American lives at risk. They stopped in November, but I don't know why. Well, they stopped during the ceasefire, didn't they? That's why they stopped. They did what Hezbollah could not. Hezbollah said they would stop when there was a ceasefire, but they ended up stopping before it because they dropped their red line. Our desire is peace, but we will not tolerate attacks against our people. Yeah, this is just an America first, like balls to the walls approach. What ceasefire? The one in Gaza. There's a ceasefire in Gaza, but it was December it went into place, no? No, not the Lebanon one, the Gaza one, the Hamas-Israel ceasefire. Actually, what was the date for that? I can't remember now. It was an incredibly stupid move to remove the Houthis from the terror list. There, fixed it for you, Kirby. Wow. Wow! Insane. Insane. What do they have to say? What's the response from the Houthis? It was in January. Okay, yeah, so it was... That's when they stopped then. I'll translate. God, that guy's voice is grating. The American enemy launched a blatant aggression against our country in the past hours with more than 47 airstrikes, targeting several areas in the governorates of Sana'a, al-Baida, Haja, Damar, Marib, and Al-Jaf, in which the American enemy, the Great Satan, I just added that in, committed a number of massacres, resulting in the martyrdom and injury of dozens. What was that bell? Okay. In a preliminary toll. In response to this aggression, the armed forces carried out a specific military operation targeting the American aircraft carrier USS Harry Truman and its warships in the northern Red Sea with 18 ballistic and cruise missiles and a drone. The Americans say it was 11. I think 11 missiles and a drone, but they were all intercepted. That's what he's saying. The Yemeni armed forces will not hesitate to target all American warships in the Red Sea and in the Arabian Sea in retaliation to aggression against our country. With the help of God Almighty, the Yemeni armed forces will continue to impose a naval blockade on the Israeli enemy and ban its ships in the declared zone of operations until aid and basic needs are delivered to the Gaza Strip. Okay. So that's the Houthi spokesperson, military spokesperson. That's him giving his 2 cents. You know, it's interesting when they talk about attacking Israeli vessels or American vessels. I want to do this, maybe even later tonight. Later tonight, I think I want to actually go through all of the vessels that the Houthis attacked and actually find out how many of them were relevant targets, because not once have the Houthis targeted a ship and said, more than once, sorry, they've targeted a ship and said it belonged to some other country when it wasn't actually that country's. For the Andromeda Star and Freda, which were 2 Panama-flagged tankers, they based the information on old data because it was owned by the British company until 2023. But then the Houthis attacked them after they'd switched ownership. One of the ships that they actually hit was operated by a Chinese crew, which is interesting because the Houthis actually said that they wouldn't target Chinese vessels. Yeah, the Freda, operated by a Hong Kong-based company with a Chinese crew. But it was British owned, I think, the year before. So I'd be so curious to go through all the vessels that the Houthis have attacked and just find out what their accuracy is actually like, because they seem to do this a lot, right? Even the Galaxy Leader, I think, was very dumb because they went after it apparently because the company that owns it is British but is co-owned by an Israeli. It's like, is that really... So the countries that are shipping the aid back and forth, sorry, not the aid, the cargo, like the Turks and the Indians, the sellers and the buyers, they all just don't matter. Apparently, they're all just like worthy collateral. So we can get this one Israeli guy who his company is based in Britain. Like, I don't get it. It's so dumb. Even the Galaxy Leader justification made absolutely no sense. Like, yeah, it's just very, very ridiculous. Do you think they even have resources to check this? Do they have internet? Yeah. They have the technology to find the ships and drop a helicopter down on them and kidnap the crew. They have a very, very, very operative, active TikTok base, clearly. A TikTok propaganda wing. Yeah, Trump is very uncompromising on terrorism, just so you guys know. It's another Gaza is speaking moment, because in 2015, Trump very famously said that if you're going to go against terrorists, you have to get their families. You have to get their families because it's the only way they'll listen. So, I mean, a family being collateral is one thing, but just targeting their family. We're fighting a very politically correct war. The other thing is with the terrorists, you have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families. They care about their lives. Don't kid yourself. But they say they don't care about their lives. You have to take out their families. Quote. Oh God. Oh no. Unless the terrorists are American, obviously, and they support him. Ouch. What's this statement from Yahya? No, I just saw that one.
We turn overseas.
What are you reading? Oh, that's a Trump quote. Trump on ISIS. This is in 2015. He walked this back later on, I believe, but he said, but we're fighting a very politically correct war. The other thing is with the terrorists, you have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families. They care about their kids. Don't kid yourself. Oh God, the way he speaks is so weird. It's so jarring. God, they care about their lives. Don't kid yourself. But they say they don't care about their lives. You have to take out their family. Heck, how many times do you have to say it? It's good. It's good to let the message sink in. Outrageous. So apparently I have to watch Asmongold give his commentary on Trump's war on terror. Well, we've brought the wheel. We do what we must. Development about the Egypt deal, by the way. It sounds like the Americans are good with the plan now and countered to have it added that Hamas are removed. And has Egypt said yes? Because that would mean... Wouldn't that mean that Egypt signs off on Israel removing Hamas? Or do they just kind of say... I don't know. I mean, I know that a lot of these like Sunni or these Arab leaders are kind of fed up with Hamas. And that was kind of a sign even in the past, right, with the Abraham Accords, but I don't know. I don't think they want to be signing off on removing
the Alien Enemies Act of the year.
They're asking Egypt to do it. What, the Egyptians go in and remove Hamas? Maybe if you offer Hamas exile? I don't know. Bro, I would not... I don't know if I want to watch like a different army fighting with Hamas. I don't know.
1798. Invocation of the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by Tren de Aragua. Oh my God. Bro, he's bringing back the old text. This is nuts. What does it do? I don't know. It makes him do it. This will allow him to speed up mass deportations of violent, criminal, illegal aliens. He's declaring an invasion by Tren de Aragua, grants expanded authority for the apprehension and deportations. Oh, how should Mexico respond? Probably by saying thank you. I mean, wouldn't they want to have these people? I mean, there's a lot of Mexican Americans living in America. And if this is a violent gang from Venezuela, wouldn't it be in Mexico's best interest that we'd be getting rid of these people? Yeah, I would say. Allows the president to detain or remove non-citizen males aged 14 and above from enemy countries during wartime, with additional powers for non-compliant citizens. It's passed during tensions with France and has been used in conflicts like World War II. Oh yeah, with the Japanese. I remember that one. Are we going to get internment camps too? Already have them. We've already got them, guys. That's Guantanamo Bay. That's why they're putting it in there. That was the whole point, man. Yeah, that's it.
Lucas Tomlinson is at the White House for us with
What the fuck am I watching? Okay.
the latest on those strikes. Lucas.
John, these are the most significant airstrikes since President Trump returned to the White House, and the first time U.S. jets have struck these Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen since President Trump returned to the White House. U.S. officials say F-18 Super Hornets from the flight deck of the USS Harry S. Truman were the vanguard of the strikes, along with Air Force fighter jets and drones. President Trump announcing the strikes just a few minutes ago on his Truth Social, saying, quote, Joe,
He
today
fired
I
up,
have
yeah.
ordered the
He ready
United
to pop
States
off.
military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign
From
of
one piece to a couple dozen pieces? I just read that off a chat. I didn't say that.
piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones. Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak, so the unrestrained Houthis just kept going. And John, recall, it was just days after taking office, one of President Trump's first executive orders was redesignating the Houthis a foreign terrorist organization after the Biden administration removed them. The State Department made it official earlier this month, marking Houthi leaders ripe for assassination. The targets in today's strikes include air defense systems and missile and drone factories, and also include a strike against one of the Houthis' top missile officers.
Wow.
The Houthis are backed by Iran. Many consider them modern-day Barbary pirates. Since
Jesus.
the October 7th massacre, they have launched over 100
What the
attacks against
fuck?
commercial shipping.
That's a
US
commercial ship? This is what these people did? They just blew up a ship? Well, that.
Chip!
It's the October 7th massacre.
Why did they remove them under Biden? What, from the terror list? Kind of stupid reasons. Well, not really. The reasons weren't bad. It's just that he did it unilaterally. Like, there were no concessions. He took them off the terror list because he wanted to make it easier for humanitarian aid to get into Yemen, so it could facilitate like the UN coordinating aid moving into the country, and also because Saudi was interacting with Yemenis in Houthi territory, say by employing them and paying them, which they can't do if the Houthis are on a terror list. The problem is that Biden got nothing in exchange for it. So the Houthis just kind of like bagged the W and got to continue their human rights abuses and all the other that they get up to. Let's see. Where is the ship that they struck? This is it, isn't it?
With Iran's so-called axis of resistance.
This is their own
Since the
footage.
war in
You can see
Gaza
there.
began, the group has attacked commercial ships in the Red Sea and even fired missiles at Israel.
Damn.
They say the attack
Cordelia Moon. Where's that ship? Is that this one? Which one's the Cordelia Moon? Is this an accurate target? What's this website that I've been using? It's Dry a Global. Okay. Is this like some shipping website? Damn, the shipping forecast. That's what I need. Marinetraffic.org. See, the Houthis are fine. They could easily track these ships down. But I guess their intel wasn't updated. It's not going to tell me. Come on. Track them down. Flag doesn't mean I know that. Doesn't matter who you're flagged by. It's which company owns you and which countries you're going to. They're the ones that matter. Where am I going to find this? Oh, is it Lloyd List? Lloyd List, Cordelia, Moon, Houthi. Yes! Tell us what's what about the Cordelia Moon. Hey, it's Liberia flagged. A lot of them are. I don't know why. Must be costs. Registered to a Panama company, managed by an Indian registered company. But the Houthis keep calling it a British oil ship. Is that because it was previously owned by the... How many times do they have to do this? Holy... Can they not just... Man, I think the Houthis might just be engaged in indiscriminate targeting. I think they're just hitting whatever the comes through and trying to post hoc justify it. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. But they can't seem to ever get a ship that's relevant to the situation. Couldn't they just say, oh, India, they like Israel. They do. It's a dark fleet vessel. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but sure. Oh, yeah, it's because it's to do with Russia, right? Is that they have British derangement syndrome? Clearly, they need to be. They need to be 50, was it 50-51? They need to be sectioned. Dark fleet between Russia and India. Okay, is Hassan concerned for the well-being of Tim Houthi Chalamet? Well,
Attacks are in solidarity with Palestinians and have recently announced they will continue such attacks until Israel allows aid to enter Gaza.
The American aggression doesn't scare us, and we will not give up on Gaza, whatever the cost. The Yemeni people are different from other people. We will sacrifice everything we have for our brothers in Gaza to support Gaza.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he will use, quote,
your commander-in-chief. Oh my God. Man, Trump could easily resolve this conflict in a much quicker way. All he needs to do is dangle himself from a hot air balloon and puncture a few holes in him, and he would basically get turned into a human bioweapon. Just imagine being the Houthis in Sana'a and having this balloon floating over you, releasing his noxious fumes composed entirely of McDonald's and fake tan. Actual chemical weapon. Deal maker in chief. Oh, this is the art of the deal. That's what. Oh. He's going to bomb Houthi territory into oblivion and then try to buy it. Oh, God.
They have launched over 100 attacks against commercial shipping. U.S. warships also came into the crosshairs of the Houthis dozens of times in recent years. The Houthis launched anti-ship ballistic missiles and crewed drones at the American warships. None were successful and all were shot down. And just a few days ago...
Listen to that again.
Dozens of times in recent years, the Houthis launched anti-ship ballistic missiles and crewed drones at the American warships. None were successful and all were...
Oh no, is Asmongold impressed by the...
Obviously, a bunch of rinky-dink pirate cosplayers
Whoa.
are not going to be able to outmaneuver a aircraft carrier. Wow.
They can try.
What a shock.
Shot down. And just a few days ago, Houthis leader said attacks would resume against shipping in the Red Sea, and including...
There are people in his chat saying... there was someone in his chat saying that they're musical people. Oh no.
Israeli ships. Now, General Kurilla, the head of U.S. forces in the Middle East, has been itching to launch these strikes to reopen those vital shipping lanes and destroy Iran's proxy force in Yemen. Kurilla ordered Truman, the U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, back to the Red Sea late last month to be prepared to launch these strikes. And those Super Hornets, as you can see there. Now, last month, the Houthis launched surface-to-air missiles at an Air Force F-16 orbiting overhead.
So they're launching missiles at us? What are we doing?
Excuse me, MAGA isolationist. Aren't you supposed to be like, well, why are we there in the first place? It's not our problem. America first. Blah. I thought that was the take. I thought that was the Trump isolationist, no new wars take. Now it's, oh, we had military in the area. Yeah. Don't f with it. Yeah. Team America. Yeah. George W. Yeah. Yeah, we're in the region with our soldiers. Don't give a f. We're on find out. They're so inconsistent. If this was Biden, he would be like, why do we have military there? It's not our war. It's not our business. What do I have to do with Yemen? I don't even know where it is. Why are we there? It's crazy to me that there are people who don't see it this way. I don't want to be part of these forever war. And now he doesn't give a f. Look how happy he is. Look, my chat's obscuring. Look how happy he is, even though this contradicts the rhetoric of all of MAGA for the last 4 years.
I mean, because the thing is that I would understand if they were fighting back, if we're occupying their land. But the reality is that the reason why this is happening is because they're attacking cargo ships. They're attacking cargo ships. They're attacking ships. What is this? I don't know what to say. You mean chucking pebbles? Yeah, terrorists? Yeah, exactly. And our warships, yeah, exactly. This would be like me
American
soloing
Reaper
Ragnaros.
drone.
Yeah, it's
and
not
John,
gonna
it's
happen.
not just in Yemen where U.S. forces have been engaged. Last night, President Trump announced the #2 leader in ISIS had been killed in an American drone strike. We have some video footage, as you can see there. That happened in western Iraq yesterday. And John,
I just love how these people, like, these are people that they're like still using like AK-47s, and they're driving around in like trucks made in the 90s that have an extra few pieces of metal on them, and like you think you're gonna beat a satellite?
They're a bit more sophisticated than that. Like they've got Iranian arms, but okay.
Like there's like 7 satellites that are like cross-referencing your location with like precision guided missiles. How do you think this is gonna go? Really? How do you think this is gonna happen?
Come on, he's gearing up for a crazy or insane. Come on,
The rebels were meant to send a message to Tehran as well to stop their support for the Houthi rebels. Of course, that's where these missiles and drones that the Houthis fire at commercial ships and U.S. warships come from. I'll also read a little more from President Trump's lengthy statement on Truth Social. He had a message to the Houthis. It says, quote, "Your time is up and your attacks must stop starting today. If they don't, hell will rain down upon you like never before. And to Iran, support for the Houthi terrorists must end immediately." And President Trump said he won't be nice about it, John.
Oh, geez.
You're a Navy veteran, Lucas. I know that during the Biden administration, the Navy...
This is the reason why so many guys now are signing up for the military. This is the reason right here. Yep. Even more now.
Yep. I'm sorry. I thought America didn't have anything to do with this part of the world. Not your problem. Not your problem. Not our problem. Not our problem. They're really attacking us for having military ships in the sea. The shape shifting is so funny, man. Like, just have a consistent position. God. If you respect international trade like I do, it's fine, you know? Protect the vessels. In the name of God, the most merciful, the compassionate, peace be upon him.
Said it was basically more engaged.
Yes, they are. It's been reported that the amount of people enlisting in the military is the highest that it's been in years.
Engaged in seaborne operations than at any time since I think World War II.
Held Irish
do I have that right? And is this kind of intended to put an end to that kind of thing on the part of the Houthis?
That's right, John. Multiple times U.S. warships came under ballistic missile attack in the Red Sea and off the coast of Yemen and the Gulf of Aden. And just for context, that has never happened in world history. Ballistic missiles have never been launched at U.S. warships before.
Yeah, can't have that happen.
Down, but that was always a concern in the Pentagon. What if those missiles gets through?
Can't have it happen.
It was notable in President Biden in his farewell address. He talked about...
I don't want to bother looking for it. Oh, is it worth it? Does Asmongold have any... He wasn't really a political creator at that time. Does Asmongold have any videos where he's talking about America's involvement against the Houthis under Biden? I just feel like if this was Biden, he'd be like, why are we there? You know? I just feel like he'd be really scratching his head and asking some serious questions and frowning about why the Americans have any business having warships in the Red Sea. But I don't know.
U.S. forces not being engaged in combat. And if you looked at the Navy press release when the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower strike group returned from the Red Sea, they talked about hundreds of bombs being dropped against the Houthis, dozens of surface-to-air missiles from those Super Hornets shooting down those crew drones that are flying overhead. There was also an issue of cost. You know, these interceptor missiles launched from the guided missile destroyers and cruisers in the strike group, John, those missiles cost millions of dollars shooting down what were...
Okay, so I just got a message from someone that I know who I'm getting scorched on my WhatsApp right now. But this is from someone who actually worked in Marine for some time. And they're telling me that apparently when these ships change operator, they can do it quite quickly. And it maybe does make sense that sometimes it would show up as like British run, but then change over. But the Marine traffic website wouldn't update in time, so it might not be necessarily their fault that they thought the ship was run by Brits, even though it had shifted to Indians. Not that justifies any of it. They wouldn't be allowed to do it if it was British either, but yeah, it's interesting. Okay.
In essence, you know, flying lawnmowers launched from the Houthis with very crude drones.
Are you okay with paying $3 more for your Amazon deals? Yeah. Famously, the only countries that are affected by Red Sea shipping are upper middle class Westoids who have YouTube channels who get Amazon deliveries. Those are really the only people who suffer any consequences of the Red Sea being blocked. It doesn't actually affect anywhere else in the world.
What were in essence, flying lawnmowers launched from the.
So we're mad at him that we made a flying lawn shit.
Houthis, very crude drones, just $50,000 or so in cost. And the fact that these shipping lanes, vital shipping lanes that are needed for commerce, for the oil trade, have been essentially shut down since the October 7th massacre. Commercial ships having to take that long journey around Africa, certainly adding to the cost. So certainly there's an economic message here.
And that's another thing too. Yeah, everybody's. So you're telling me that we've been paying extra money for years because we didn't want to kill a bunch of terrorists? Is this a joke? What's going on?
Bring back the Hawks. Look at them. Thank God. You know what? I admire it. Thank God there's some consistency now. Now that we can go back to our Bush era Hawk Republicans. Because honestly, the isolationist was cringe. It was incoherent, as you can tell. Because look how easily these guys turned into Hawks. All it took was the right guy doing it.
Strikes against the Houthis today. And by the way, John, these strikes could go on for a number of days. That's not immediately clear.
Right, because I read that one of the goals is to target their weapons storage facilities, which are reportedly deep underground.
That's a lot
so
of
they're going to be
lawnmowers.
using those bunker busters and probably repeatedly to try to get to those warehouses that are essentially buried.
Right, and it's notable, John, those Super Hornets carry 2,000-pound JDAM satellite-guided bombs. Those are not bunker busters, so if you needed those, you probably have to call in something
Bunker
heavier,
busters.
some B-52 bombers, perhaps a B-2 bombers. We saw that one time during the Biden administration, B-2s launching from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. But certainly this is a powerful message being sent. You also have Tomahawk cruise missiles aboard those guided missile destroyers in the Truman Strike Group.
God, Americans are so funny. The way they talk about this, I just can't take it seriously. It's like the most powerful, most sophisticated military in the world, and they're just like, I just can't take this guy seriously when he's talking. It's just, I don't know why. I don't know how to explain it. He just doesn't seem real, and he seems like he has an IQ of like 12.
Also have Tomahawk cruise missiles aboard those guided missile destroyers in the Truman Strike Group. We didn't hear about any Tomahawk strikes today. But
bringing in the B-2 bombers.
Firepower in the area if called upon.
A powerful message being sent not only to the Houthis, but as you say, to Iran as well, Lucas.
There's no question, John. President Trump recently sent a letter to the Ayatollah saying Iran needs to end its nuclear enrichment program, stop in this path toward what many in the intelligence community
They just
say
released
is a
a new video
path to
of the Yemen
nuclear
strikes.
bomb.
Yeah, well, in a
the
minute.
Israelis have been itching to strike the Iranians so far.
What do we think? Do we think Trump is actually going to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities? I know this is the thing that the Israelis have been wanting for a long, long time. They want America to like to finish the job. If he won't, Israel will. But isn't there this theory? I've heard people say that Israel might not have the firepower to do it. Like they might need. That's why Benny Morris argues that they should use a tactical nuke on the nuclear facilities to nuke the nukes. So I think that's why people generally believe that. And you don't want to do that because nuclear precedent is going to get massively if Israel does that. Hasn't Israel already been doing it? No, they've been attacking military sites and I think oil facilities, but I don't think they've been hitting nuclear sites. No, not in Iran. But I think if America has the firepower for it, I don't know. I think Trump's going to do it. I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see Trump, 4 years, whatever. I think Trump is going to smack up Iran's nuclear facility with their superior bunker busters.
While the Trump administration has voiced its support for such an operation, President Trump has said he wants to end this diplomatically. That's why he sent that letter, but it was rejected from the Ayatollah.
Oh, has Israel actually hit the oil facilities? I thought they didn't under Biden, but didn't Trump give them a green light to do it, or is that just speculation? Do you think they should do it? My understanding about Iran is that they've already kind of developed way past any like conceivable civilian use for their nuclear capabilities. I think if there is ever a warning that they're going towards like weaponization, they would basically give the rest of the world like not they would voluntarily, but just we have enough intel and surveillance that people would know like at least a month before they actually got the weapon, you know? So I think there's like a threshold that they can cross that basically gives the world like a 1 month warning. I think if they cross that, then probably, because there's no other conceivable point in them doing it. But Israel thought they would know before Hamas attacked. No, that's actually not true, Addy. Like, no, what you're saying is true, but the comparison's not good. Israel, as we know now, has taken the axis of resistance like far more seriously than they ever took Hamas. They took Hezbollah seriously. That's why they defeated them so much more easily. They took Iran more seriously. They literally ignored Hamas for the most part so they could focus on Iran and Hezbollah. And that's actually what the IDF probe found as well, that they had basically decided Iran was really the only serious problem. So I don't think it's going to be the same logic for Iran because they do actually seem to take Iran seriously.
But the Iranians...
So the letter gets rejected, and then this happens. Is that the turn of events? Is that it? Oh, man. All right. Don't you think this message of power, it's kind of like two Cold Wars? No. Honestly, I think it's pretty easy to look at it. You figure out the people that are involved with the people that are involved with these terrorist groups. You identify them, you figure out where they live. You can do this through satellite imaging. You can do it with other types of intelligence. And you work with the government there. And if they don't want to work with you, then you just do it anyway. And you kill them. That's it.
He's such a hawk.
I don't think it's that complicated.
He's such a hawk.
Right? I mean, like,
it's not even complicated.
How is that complicated? If you want my honest opinion, I think that the reason why we were entangled constantly in the Middle East is because George Bush's vice president was the previous CEO of the Halliburton.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I think
obviously,
that they just did it in order to fulfill the military-industrial complex.
All there is to it, yeah.
I don't
the
think
military-industrial
really
complex.
Yes. And also technology has improved
It's
a lot.
literally the most, like the biggest uniter of left and right is just that anything that... America's only in the Middle East for oil, and it's all for Dick Cheney's oil money. Like, Jacob, thanks for the $5. We need an emote for that meme where a red cap has a chip replaced in their brain, telling them what to be mad about. No new wars out. Muslims scary in. Well, Hemars, thanks for the 10 Canadian. What about Carter? I don't think Asmongold even knows who Carter is. Is Carter a real person? There's a video of Asmongold watching the Serbian protests and showing support. The irony is, Trump's tactics resembles the Serbian president's authoritarianism. It's quite a watch. Recommend it. Oh, interesting. Oh.
Since then, like that our technology is way better, and so we're better at doing it remotely. There's also that, but the main reason is that I think it's rigged. Honestly, I think that they continued that war for years on purpose in order to create necessity for themselves.
Yeah,
I do. Like, I'm sorry, but like that's what I believe for sure. Yeah. You were entangled way before George Bush. The Middle East has lots of oil. That's why U.S. came to the Middle East. I'm talking about the military.
Support these Houthi rebels, and so there's no question this is a message being sent to Tehran as well in Sana'a in Yemen.
All right, Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. If you get more information on these attacks against the Houthis in Yemen.
So they apparently released information.
Click here to subscribe.
Let's see if I find it. Israelis die for you and share defense tech for your money investment. There's more money here, like oil. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but yeah, I've honestly, everybody acts like this is complicated. I mean, if they're gonna do this more, I mean, like, I don't know. Is your brain consuming content like this? Is it getting to you? Not really. I mean, like, I've already been crazy.